You know, friendship, male friendship, we all know from our own lives, is hugely important, and female friendship as well. Do you think maybe that's why people are loving this movie so much, that it's resonating, that friends can be as important as your family or a loved one even?
Yeah, I think it's funny how people, I know that there was a certain accessing of the breakup of relationship across the types of relationship when I was accessing some of the stuff that we were doing it. And some of them were romantic relationships, and Martin didn't want to complicate anything with sexuality or romance, and he wanted to look at
God
the
for that, says you.
Would have been
God
a
for that, yeah. They'd be talking about a different kind of chemistry between you and me then. I wonder how that'd go.
Yeah. I got myself in trouble mentioning a little thing about that in a previous Q&A. I'm not going to make that same quip this time, but yeah, no, we won't even give context. No, but it was, yeah, the fact is that I do believe that there was a T-shirt, there's a Shanachal on the island that I got. I think I
you gave me one, yeah.
I didn't give it till the end.
No, exactly,
And if I get the Irish right, it's man's going on the Sul Carrad. So it means that a friend's eye is a good mirror.
Okay.
Right. So if you look at a good friend, a proper friend, and you're being an asshole, you see you're being an asshole in their eyes.
Yeah.
Right. Because what they see of you, because of your friendship, is basically
the essential.
You know, the goodness or the best part of you, and they know when you're not doing it. Yeah. Now somebody takes that away, that mirror, and who the hell are you? You've no so it's really a kind of it's taking away one of the pillars under which you understand your standing in the world. Yeah. Fundamental one, really, and saying, Jesus, where's the ladder gone?
Yeah. Colin, I was thinking, you know, if Martin McDonagh shows up and says, I've this movie we're going to do on the Aran Islands in Achill, Brendan Gleeson's going to be paired up with you again. Like, I know obviously you read the script, right? Yeah. It would be madness not to, but was a part of you just like, I'm in?
I mean, you almost don't have to read the script, you know what I mean? Honest to God. Yeah. I mean, look, if Brendan called tomorrow and said exactly what you're saying, I would be in. And I would be in, but he said, look, I haven't got it. And I said, of course I'm in. I mean, the dream, being aware of Martin's work before, even in Bruges, and having seen Six Shooter before we did in Bruges, you know, the film with Brendan and Rory that he won the Best Short for at the Oscars. Yeah. I mean, the first time he ever put a camera on a bunch of actors, he goes off and he wins an Oscar, Best Short, you know. Yeah. He's extraordinary. He's an extraordinary voice in theatre and now an extraordinary voice in cinema. But I did read this. He did the first iteration of this 7 years ago. I got an email from him saying, I just wrote this thing, have a look and tell me what you think. And he got the same email. And it was the Banshees of, back then it was Inisherin. And it was very different. Yeah. As Martin says now, he thinks it was shite. I would have done that one, but it wasn't good enough for him. He sets a very high bar, higher than the bar I set for myself apparently, and he's dead right. But he went off and he did 3 billboards and then he came back and only the first few minutes remains, and the first few minutes being the breakup between the two of us. And then everything else changed. It went away from kind of heavy plots and action scenes and shootouts to being a more intimate, character-driven piece, you know, and a piece about the dissolution of a friendship, which is, to what you were saying earlier, there's people dying in the world for lack of friendship. Yeah. There's people dying in the world, you know, from lack of friendship. You know, and a lot of the time at their own hand, for the loneliness that having nobody to be to you what a friend can be to each of us in their lives, you know. So
that's a good point. I have a tiny personal connection. I was on the set. My mother-in-law, my wife's mother's from Inishmore. We still have a house there. I take the kids there.
Oh, do you? Look at you.
I know, no, so that sounds very middle class. No, but I proposed there, so it's deep with us. So I was up on the set, so I know a few people on the island. And not that we were spying on you, but they said you were out running. Yeah. People waved at you, and there was no big deal, Mr. Hollywood or Misters Hollywood.
The question is, did I wave back?
Apparently you did. So I'm wondering, was it nice to be there away from the machine?
Yeah, it was magic. I really found it incredibly nourishing to my soul. Like I'll feel the effect of the 3 months that we spent together in that summer last year on the West Coast for the rest of my days. Yeah. Really, I really will. And you know, every film, every event, every kind of any happening of meaning in your life, of course, you carry with you forever. But this 3 months that we spent on Inishmore and on Achill, and particularly Inishmore because we were closer together. On Achill, there was a bit of a dispersion. The cast and the crew were further apart. We lived further apart. We didn't see each other on the weekends, you know, and that's fine as well. But to be on Inishmore and to be able to live in a certain amount of proximity to everyone we were working with, but at the same time to feel the isolation that an island that is that small and that beautiful and yet feels that vast because of the sky above it. I felt like we never stopped telling this story, even when I was on my own at night. And I'd go out running, we'd do a day's work, and I'd go out at 9 or 10
that
at
kind
night.
of place.
I'd go out at 10 o'clock at night. You know the low road?
Yeah.
Do you ever walk it at night? There's not
Yeah.
a light there.
Yeah.
It's dark. All I could hear was my feet. I was always afraid I'd go over on an ankle and I'd fuck it. It was kind of irresponsible. But I would be running the darkness of night and I could barely see. And then I'd feel the grass touching my ankles and I'd know I was close to the ditch. So I'd go a little bit away from... That was it. And it was madness. It was magic. I just felt very plugged in, and I felt very close to my people, my history, and thereby whatever version of my essential self I can access, you know.